Hello and welcome to the swear jar. And here's the swear jar. Woo! I dug it out. It was down the back of the settee, I think. How you doing, Tan? We've got Supertanskiii on the show. Yay!
Believe Navidad. Believe... You've actually dragged me away from my Zelda marathon.
You were up till very late last night playing Zelda. I know that because I think I checked my phone at like 3 a.m. and you were still at it.
Oh, I wasn't playing Zelda at 3 a.m. I'm just not much of a I'm not an early go to bedder, so I'm perpetually tired. Go to bedder.
Go to bedder. Off to bed. No, I go to bed, but I just don't fall asleep. I've got to just sort of, I don't know. Although you sent me a link yesterday. What's the show, the radio show that predated the Day to Day?
Oh, no, it was your mate that sent that.
Was it AB?
I only know him as AB1 Kenobi.
Yeah, that's his
name. He sent a really, it's written by Armando Iannucci. Like
On the Hour. On the Hour, that's what it's called. God, it's funny.
Yeah, I need to watch that.
It's available on BBC Sounds. BBC Sounds? BBC Sounds for the next few weeks. But yeah, if you can listen to On the Hour. I put that on and I made it halfway through and then I fell asleep. And I woke up in the middle of the night and started listening to it again and then fell asleep again. So I haven't listened to the end of it yet. But God, it's funny. Right, so I just want to say a big shout out to everyone in the chat before we get on. Doc Davis is asking who started all this badger stuff. One Angry Pagan's already put a super chat in. Thank you very much. Fuckity fuck. Blessed Giola badgers. Thank you for the Giola. That was very nice of you, One Angry Pagan. If you would like to join Vendetta and Diz and Richard Marsden and Megan Elite and Katrina and others in the chat, Witchy Goth as well, all you need to do is hit that subscribe button. Ta-da! Subscribe. And you will magically be allowed to type things down the side. But no trolling, please. If you troll, we will ban you. So you can watch, but you just won't be able to do anything about it. You'll be like a eunuch at an orgy. So don't be a troll. Right, Tan, tell us what's been going on this year. Because do you know this is our first swear jar of the year? We haven't done one of these for a year.
Really?
Really, yeah. We haven't done one for a year. The last one we did was in December last year.
I did not do that.
Yeah, it's true story. So this is our first and last swear jar. We've been busy. It's been shit going down. So
well, just a bit, hasn't it? I mean, yeah, it's been a mad one this year.
It definitely has.
There's been kind of like highs and lows. Like we got rid of the Tories.
Yeah, that was good.
That was a kind of like a massive bonus, obviously, but then we immediately had the kind of like far right. Oh, brilliant! I've got a cat attacking me. We had the far kind of like right riots, and then and the kind of I think what's going on with reform and all that lot is just taking the shine off, really, and the whole kind of like oligarchy. I haven't felt quite the same since I watched As If Capadia's 2073. If I'm honest with you, like I've been irked massively. And then we've got the prospect of another Trump presidency, so which is going to be insane. But there was a few people thinking that possibly that might take the edge off reform's lead, or because Trump's going to cock it up so terribly that Farage by association will possibly lose of his, acolytes. I don't know, but they don't listen to reason, do they?
His familiars. Vampires have familiars, Tam.
Oh my fucking God, man. Hang on a minute. Right,
are you being
me a second.
Cat attack?
I just had like a cat near my laptop and right. Okay, I'm just gonna get these twats out of the room.
All right, you sort out your twats, and I'll. Oh, it's double me! It's double me! That's not supposed to happen. Although if I right, I'll just turn that to that for now.
I'm coming back now.
Okay, let me know when you're back. You don't need double me. Richard Martin, thank you very much for the super chat, my friend. That is very kind of you. £20 super chat. Cheers, mate. Good bottler for two, my favourite streamers and commentators. Love and kindness to you both. Merry Christmas. Oh, thank you, Richard. That is really, really kind of you. Thank you for the super chat. And I'm going to get some wine with that, I think we need some wine.
So,
but yeah, so you think that actually for the UK, because Trump is not popular even amongst Tories and that in the UK, because like the Tory, Jam and Jerusalem set, all the Christians who support the Tories, they hate Trump because they can see him from afar and go, he is the Antichrist. Whereas the American Christians are all like, oh yeah, he's our savior. He just behaves like the Antichrist, and would probably put Jesus to death if he ever came back. So do you think that, like, actually for that, and also the fact that we're going to be pushed back towards Europe more now because no one's going to want to have anything to do with America? So are these reasons to be sort of cheerful, I guess, or at least slightly less dystopian?
Just so you know, I'm back. I can't see you anymore, but I can.
Oh, you cannot see me anymore. I'm so sorry. That was my fault. There you go. Hi.
There we go.
You remember what I look like though? Twat in a hat.
I do, but I had this bizarre cog. It's very difficult to tell really, because I think a lot of them are using the term Christian as a way to say white, and to them, like, white good religion is Christianity. So they're kind of co-opting it. I think that's their kind of take on it. And the problem is, Farage, etc., working on behalf of the elites who massively benefit from chaos and us all having a terrible economy, disaster capitalists, people that short the etc., and they have an enormous amount of influence, and he's basically doing their bidding, isn't he? So I don't know if there's much to be hopeful about, because unfortunately this rhetoric is being full scale imported and conditioned into people. I've got people throwing at me that it's hard to tell on Twitter anymore, because it's like, I think, like dead internet style. There's like very little in terms of real activity on there. But I've already got people saying to me that appear to be British, established British accounts, this is why women shouldn't vote. I've got like so-called people saying childless cat lady, and I'm like, well, the common denominator is women not choosing men, so I'd say that you're the rejected ones. And if people prefer an annoying fuck animal that just nearly took out my entire lap for men, I'd say it's the kind of, men aren't doing too well here. But no, so the problem is all of that stuff's coming in, and it's just all a cloak for white supremacy.
Yes,
it's just a veil for white supremacy. And unfortunately, as long as someone's spouting what they want to hear in terms of bigotry, I don't think they'll give much of a shit about whether that person is talking facts or not, because it turns into just like a kind of war. Oh, as long as we're annoying the lefties, that's all we care about. It's like, mate, you're going to be just as fucked as we are. You're not rich. And they're like, oh yeah, but we get you down. It's the same Brexit mentality.
Yeah, and like they just want the world to burn, really, don't they? I mean, that's the thing for them, isn't it? They don't care what happens.
The elite thing, the establishment thing. The twat was at a fox hunt today, dressed head to toe in tweed, with millionaire landowners.
Yes,
taking part in an elite blood sport.
No, he's not an elite. He's a man of the people, Tan. Just like Trump, he's a billionaire of the people.
Honestly, I don't know. I don't really feel like optimistic. I've been in a kind of very perturbed state for a number of months now, because the new, especially pissed off with Labour for a bunch of reasons, but particularly because they're not implementing disinformation and regulation, disinformation legislation and regulating social media companies. But we've missed the boat on that a long time ago, really. They had a chance, as Carol Cadwallader said, like years ago, to take a stand with these guys, and they failed to. And now it's kind of like all bets are off, So,
it's galling to see the opportunities just flash by, and it's like we could do something about this, and yet the people in power are just. I don't think they're hitting their marks. I mean, Wolf is saying in the chat that Keir Starmer's been a massive disappointment. In fact, he's one of the most hateful and unpopular prime ministers ever. What, compared with Boris Johnson, compared with Liz Truss, compared with Rishi Sunak? Think about he's coming off the back of there. It's all relative, isn't it?
I don't think hateful is very. I don't understand how people can hate him because he's just mild. If anything, he's like deeply uninspiring. Sorry,
Yeah,
not
I was gonna
inspiring.
say,
Wow, that's an inspiring man. The problem
I love it when he
is
said that thing. Remember that speech he made?
what one? Oh God, not the sausages
I
one.
honestly, I feel the same way about the previous leader. There's nothing that I can remember him saying that I thought, oh yeah, God, that was a good line. Oh, you really took him to task there. Oh, you made me want to rise up. You made me want to play guitar. That's what you made me do. Like Interpol once sang. One Angry Pagan's just dropped £2 in the super chat, so I better say thank you. Happy Christmas, happy Boxing Day to One Angry Pagan. The UK's public response to the riot speaks volumes. Indeed. And just a big shout out to SuperTiny808 who said, not just a twat in a hat, a twat in a shit hat. And then he deleted his comment. Cheeky fucker. This is a new hat, by the way. This is a new Christmas hat. I got a new hat for Christmas. Yeah, because my other hat stinks tan. Like, I took it to the island and I sweated profusely into it for like 3 weeks. And now it just smells like a jock strap, except one that I've got wrapped around my head. So that's I've got like a little savings account that I've set up, right? A little ISA account because I'm saving up to take it to Timpson's to get it cleaned.
Oh, poor Timpsons. That's all they need, isn't it?
I know. I'm going to send it in like a plastic bag and it's going to be on like a fishing line, like a hook. Like, here you go. Take it. Take that. Take the sticky hat. But yeah, I mean, look, I get the whole thing of like Labour didn't hit the ground running like they could have done, considering how big their majority is. And I feel like they could have been bolder. And I felt exactly the same way. Years and years ago, 27 years ago, when they won in 1997, I felt exactly the same way, Tan. They could have just done so much more. They did some brilliant stuff, like they brought in the minimum wage. Eventually, they got rid of Clause 28, Section 28, sorry, at the Local Education Act, which meant you can't talk about being gay. They did some good stuff. They also brought in tuition fees and invaded Iraq. So, got to take the rough with the smooth.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem, isn't it? I mean, I'm caught in between two worlds here. I mean, I am reaching the point where I'm going to start laying into them a bit because a bunch of things that they've done that I fundamentally disagree with. Like, for one, needlessly pursuing the Tory culture war bullshit of punishing trans people, which is a disgrace.
Yeah.
That is something that I 100% cannot get behind. But then there's also the aspect of, like, on the other hand, they're beginning to implement or start to build on their manifesto pledges, but it's really complicated. It's not cut and dry. Yeah. The things that they're bringing in are good things, like taxing the rich, good. Non-dom states, good. VAT on private schools, good. Nationalising the railways, fundamentally good policies that we need. But then on the other hand, there's stuff that I don't agree with, and it's not been long. So I don't feel like I've had long enough to judge them on their record to see if they're starting to achieve them, because it's been 5 months. Yeah. And then on the other hand, you've got the relentless rise of Farage cashing in on everything he's destroyed, because let's face it, he was basically he was the one behind Tory policy for the last 8 years. Essentially, they were trying to appease Farage the whole time, etc. So Farage has essentially to get an idea of what a Farage government would be like, you've just got to look at what the Tories have done for the last 8 years, and that would be what a Farage government would be like. People filling their pockets, culture wars, all that bullshit. Yeah. So you've got them rising. So you've got a Labour government that's only just begun. They're doing some shady shit. They're not particularly inspiring. They're getting it neck because they're pissing off all the people that are ultra rich, who run the newspaper companies, who want to retain non-dom
and their children go to the posh schools,
private schools. So anything, and like they were even like building houses the other day. That it's like, we need houses, and they're making poorer people again think that building houses is bad. And it's like, what are you talking about? We've not had like social housing builds in this country for like eons. Even the last lot didn't do a good enough job of it. So you've got all these conflicting things. I'm just sitting here thinking, right, okay, yeah, Labour's, yeah, they're not great, but they're not as bad as them lot. And if you kind of like knock Labour heavily, you're going to help them lot. So it's a really tough.
Yeah, but I mean, look, we've got a long time before the next election. It's a very long time until the next election. And Trump will be over, but hopefully by the next election, because his entire term is going to be spent with the Tories and re-fuck out of power in this country. But yeah, I share your concerns, Tan. I think they could do more. I'm just making a point of not really defending them if they do something daft. I'm not going to say, oh, but there's a good reason for it. I just go, oh, fuck it. You know, if they've done something
I don't know the reason for it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what they're fucking playing at with this, you know, refusal to stop foreign donations.
Yeah.
There's no logical reason for it. Like other people say, it's like the lambs voting for the slaughterhouse. It's insane. Like, what possible defence is there? I'm no longer a Labour member, not for any particular like dramatic cutting up my card thing. It just lapsed, and I just didn't bother renewing it because I just don't see the point in power. You know, I don't think my fiver is going to help them enormously, and. Yeah, so I'm not a member of Labour. I don't have any tribal loyalty to Labour.
Well, that's what Samusa is saying in the chat. What I like about Labour supporters, though, we don't cheer them to the rafters regardless of what they're up to, unlike the Tory supporters who thought they were cheering a fucking football team. That's so true. It's like, you know, that footballification, easy for you to say, of politics, which, yeah, it is. Like the refuck supporters. You got your Farage out doing. He did exactly what Trump did this year. Trump did. Farage did. He told his supporters to go out on the streets and cause problems, and then they all got put in jail. And unlike the American ones, who are all going to get released in a few weeks' time, these dickheads, including brick head. What's his name? Head brick groin man, who got put away for 2 years. Earlier this week, fantastic. And imagine just being humiliated like that on TV, on social media, everywhere around the country. Everyone's laughing at you, and then you have to spend 2 yees in jail for doing what?
Sorry, for doing what? For what? Getting kicked, getting bricked in the knackers and the head.
Bricked in the knackers, and then he's got to spend 2 years in jail.
I think that was, I don't know if it, again, I don't know if this is accurate, but I'm pretty certain, I think it was him or one of them was actually a domestic abuser who got picked up because he was identified after there was a call to a domestic incident. And that kind of plays into my whole view that a lot of them were just the kind of people who would rough up their girlfriends and wives when they lose the football. You know, they're kind of twat. Doing it to defend you, mate. You're the one that's most likely to spike my drink or attack me or beat me if I'm unfortunate enough to be anywhere near you. You know, you're not.
They're not the goodies, are they? They're not looking out for each other. They don't really care about they don't care about society or the people of this country. All they want to do is bang on about the bloody war and shag the flag forever. But yeah, it's Boxing Day today, and you were saying about Farage going out on the hunt. So, you know, we were talking the other day I think it was on the Friday Night Social, we were talking about The Hills Have Monocles, this movie that I'm going to write, and it's going to be about these Scousers who are coming back from Glastonbury, and they accidentally take a wrong turn through a field, and they end up on this, like, Rees-Mogg estate, and all these inbred, like, you know, hillbillies, but British and aristocracy come and attack them and take them off one by one. So it's going to be a cross between sort of Hills Have Eyes, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you know, classic horror tropes. I'm thinking of doing a sequel called Boxing Day, in which the tides are turned and it's like The Purge but British, and it's a day when all of us normal people can go and hunt the toffs for a day. They're forced to dress up in red so you can see them from a mile away and wear twatty trousers.
Sounds fucking amazing. I mean, I did tweet about this earlier. I said something similar where I was like, I'd legalise toff hunting if I became Prime Minister. We have the same thought process, like scary. Is like,
fictional, of course, fictional. Obviously, we wouldn't really.
Unfortunately, I do. told me about The Hills Have Monocles the other week, like when we had a chat on the phone, I was like, this is an amazing idea for a film. Like I've been thinking like something along these lines for myself, like Hammer House meets Severance meets like Shaun of the Dead or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it would be, like almost, well, it's not really reverse Saltburn when you think about it. It's just Saltburn without what you would feel was people being shitty to the working classes. But
that was the only thing about Saltburn that I really, really hated. Not the bit where he shagged the grave. The bit where he or ran around naked. That was fine. It was the bit where he's like, it turned out that he was from a middle class family and he was just pretending to be working class. That really fucked me off. I really didn't like that, Tan. Because like, what was that in there for? He could have been working class. What difference would it make?
Possibly the fact that, I don't know, maybe it was the guilt of the privately educated director.
Yes, maybe.
She was possibly like, oh, I don't really feel comfortable like making the working class guy the demon of all of this, so I'm going to make him like he's pretending to be a common person, you know.
Yeah, but that to me made him unsympathetic to me. Do you know what I mean? Like up to that point, I was like, these toffs have been humiliating this poor lad and making him feel awkward and making him feel, you know, inferior.
Lots of people,
you know, just being weird at him. And I love the scene where they have the breakfast, you know, after the lads died. Sorry, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it yet. But you know where the posh lad dies at the party, and then they have breakfast the next morning, and they're trying to behave like everything's normal, but their son's just died. And it's such a fantastic scene. But honestly, it made the protagonist unsympathetic for me because he was lying to them about that. If he had just been a working class lad who they treated badly, and then he turned everything on them, and he ended up, you know, winning the day. Sorry, spoilers, and bumping them all off. I would have been all for it. Yeah, but the director and writer was privately educated, so you know they got to protect their own.
In any way sympathetic towards, like, because a lot of people, like, I don't understand how anyone, because there were people going, oh, these certain like posh characters from the film are great. None of them were particularly, like, I don't think portrayed sympathetically. They all look like psychopaths, selfish, self-involved psychopaths who just use people as playthings. Felix was the only kind one who seemed to have any morals. You know, he seemed like a pretty nice guy in many respects, considering his age and his wealth. Like, but it was, I mean, that was probably the film. I mean, that was this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was earlier this year. Well, I think it was the end of last year, so I don't think I saw it till January this year. I remember
being very, very, very disturbed by, like, recoiling actually at points of like, but she did a really great job of showing the weirdness.
Yes, yeah. The Texas Chainsaw League of Gentlemen. Yes, indeed. The thing with a fake posh accent. Captain saying great point for Everton. Yes, it was. They're playing Man City today and they got a draw. Another draw after drawing against Chelsea.
Lads.
Yeah, and what Wolf said, I could never hunt animals for sport. These fox hunters are vile. Obviously, being a wolf, Wolf just hunts for food, obviously, which is noble. But yeah, I just Yoni is saying give the foxes weapons too, just to make it a bit fairer. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a fox is a beautiful animal. Like, why would anyone look at a fox and go, "This needs to be ripped apart by hounds"? Like that's a fitting death for this noble animal, for this noble beast that doesn't need to be dead. It's like these dickheads who go around shooting stags and elephants and tigers and stuff, and they pose with the tiger they've shot, and you're like, oh, well done, mate. Oh, look at me, I've shot an endangered species. And they're just horrible, horrible people. And we need our lot, right? And I'm going to say our lot as in state-educated people. I'm sorry to draw the line there, and I know a few people who went to private school myself who are all right, but generally speaking, it is them and us. And we need to start recognising this because they keep us fighting, going, oh, it's left and right. Oh, it's this and that. It's economics. It's culture war bullshit. And it's not. It is just haves and have-nots. And I think people need to be awoken to that fact, which is why I did the private school mafia site. I only thought there'd be a few fucking 100 names on that when I started it. It's nearly 1,200 names now, Tan. And they're all like household names. It's not like I've just...
How many?
There's 1,180 at the moment. I think I need to update it because I've got a spreadsheet that it links to, but I have to manually update it these days unless I pay for the add-on, which I'm paying for. But yeah, 1,180 we're up to at the moment, and it's every day. Like if I'm bothered, I'll read a news article about something that's happened, and I'll just check the names in it. I'll check who wrote it. I'll check, the people who are named and what they, unless it's really obvious that they, aren't posh in any way, shape, or form. But it's the way that so many news stories are about rich, posh people, like so many of them, and then you go into the celebrity news, which is all about rich people, and it distorts people's view of the world. It really does, to make them think it's normal. Tim Ballon has
just... Don't know it.
Sorry?
They don't know.
Sorry, Tan, you broke up
there.
Sorry,
there's a bit of a delay, I think. You carry on.
No, I was just going to say, Tim Ballon just dropped some super
chat
chat goodness into the chat. My sister has chickens and foxes visit all the time, but never bother the chickens. They just hunt the voles. So there you go. They're well-trained foxes. But yeah, I mean, like, your ownership of chickens doesn't mean you can go around shooting cats. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're just not allowed to. If you own pigeons, if you're a pigeon fancier, do you get a license to go around murdering cats because they might, attack your pigeons? Might attack your prize-winning messenger pigeons or whatever the fuck they are. No, of course not. It's animal cruelty.
Animal
my
cruelty
pigeons.
It's probably one of the very few things in which I could, I couldn't kill a spider, or anything really. But it's one of the very few areas where I could feel nothing if someone was unalived, much like, nonces and rapists, really. It's the same tier of scum to me. Anyone that hurts an animal, it gives me kind of like a furious, righteous rage. So, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I grew up in a village. I wasn't in a kind of like rich part of the village at all. I was in like a little free up, free down council house, but there was like a private school, and there was like a strong kind of like country element to it, like country farmhouse element to it, where everyone's a bit banked. And like we did used to try and help sabotage in our own way. We had little dens down in the fields and stuff, and we used to try and help fuck up the fox hunters. But I hate it. I think it's scummy, and it's just another area in which like the upper classes are massively depraved and weird. And what you were saying earlier on about the articles that we get pumped out to us daily. There was that one the other week, which is like, it was something about culture wars and class wars, as if to say, don't fight class wars, fight culture wars. And I, like you, since I met you and I knew about the private school mafia, I immediately go and check the education of the person that wrote
the article. Of
the person that wrote the article. And surprise, surprise, went to private school.
It's nearly always the case, Tan, because here's the thing as well. If you can't find out where someone went to school, that's always sus as well. Because if someone went to a comp and managed to make it in life, become the political editor of the Telegraph or something, they will let you know. They will so let you know that they managed to do that, and aren't they incredible for doing that? But it's just a scuzzy system that we have. Anthony Fisher, who's not scuzzy. Thank you for all you've both done this year, and a couple of hearts from Anthony Fisher. Thank you very much, mate. That's very kind of you. Now, Tan's going to disappear in a moment because so one of the reasons why we were late getting started, like me and Tan were here for 5:30. We were here, but Zoom was decided to kick me out, and they used Phil Morehouse's Zoom. Have you seen that when I come onto Zoom sometimes, when I come onto meetings and my name comes up as Phil Morehouse, and everyone goes, "Oh, Phil's here! Thank God that twat Graham's not here." And then I appear on his account, and they're all like, "Oh shit! I didn't mean it, Graham." That didn't happen, but yeah. So Tan will disappear, and then I'll have to send her another link so she can rejoin the chat. But we can do that.
I don't know if you will get booted too. To be fair, I don't know how it works.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter because my stream going out is just from my camera. It's not from Zoom. I'm not taking that from Zoom.
Oh, all right then. Yeah, all right then. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yes.
We're having a few technical problems this evening. My brain's doing is running around breaking pots and like buying shields in Hyrule for like I think it must have been about 5 hours. And by the end, because I'm obviously playing it on my telly, on the original N64, everything is wildly fuzzy.
Yes.
I mean, like massively fuzzy.
Do you have like a little gadget?
Around, everything.
Tan, do you have a little gadget to transform it from like those 3 cables into HDMI? Do you have that, or do you just put it straight in?
Just put it in by the aerial, so it's proper fuzzy.
By the aerial.
So
okay.
When I look back at the room after staring at like low resolution for hours, everything just felt like massively sharp. I was like, I felt like I was on acid. I was like,
oh my god, I've done that. I've literally walked out my house and thought, wow, the resolution is out here is amazing, and I realized it was actually real life. That's why it looks so good. It was like looking through a window, because I was literally looking through a window. But yeah, but yeah, I mean, look, you know, with the way the world's going and everything, I mean, we need to start thinking of clever ways of getting our message out to people, which, you know, Labour are notoriously terrible at. But I think video games are a huge way of doing that. Like, you know, playing a video game and just chatting about politics and stuff, I think is a good way of getting people on board. One Angry Pagan saying, deer overpopulation is actually a problem, Graham. This is what happens when you move high-tier predators like wolves, bears, and lynx from the ecosystem. Yeah, all those deers. And you see a deer and you go, oh dear. Scart says, reframing the narrative in capital letters. Scart leads. Bane of my existence. Richard Grumpy Git says, I'm having that problem full-time thanks to cataracts. Oh shit, I'm sorry, mate. Plum Duff says, thanks for being legends, which is lovely. But yeah, I'm gonna say, I honestly believe that the way that, you know, things are going in the world at the moment, it's going to be more important than ever for people like us and our mates to be making this kind of content and just going, because people need to know that they're not going mad. Like, you know, when the sorry, my mic just went off. I was just saying, people need to know they're not going mad. They need to know this stuff isn't normal.
No, but the problem is, like, you do feel like you're preaching to choir, don't you? Because the problem is that the people that follow you know that it's mad. And it's very difficult to get through the other lot because they're massively radicalized. So it's kind of a case of all you can do is just keep trying to out the information and the facts, so at least there's a point of reference. So if they are trying to help their racist uncle understand, or their stupid nan, or their you know, just wayward brother, that something's up, that you give them something to point to. But it's like the scale and the money that they're pumping into this is enough to kind of basically just con people, and people are so addicted to their phones now that there's not a lot you can do, and none of it's regulated. So it's just unregulated information, isn't it? So and a lot of people turning to unregulated sources for their information, like TikTok, terrifyingly, and other places, which is promoting and amplifying right-wing content and shutting down the other side. Twitter's doing it. TikTok's definitely doing it. YouTube's all right for it at the moment.
TikTok's getting shut down in America, though, isn't it? Isn't TikTok on its way out in America?
I know that there's some states that have banned porn, and I know that I think, is it all states or is it just some?
No, it's all. They're banning TikTok unless Trump decides with an executive order not to ban it. It's on its way out because it's owned by the Chinese government.
Twitter needs to be banned. I mean, no, it's not.
Twitter
really.
needs to be banned. I'm talking about TikTok. TikTok's for the one it's on.
TikTok's not owned by the Chinese government. It's owned by a kind of a billionaire young kind of tech bro who is funded. Well, it is, but under a conduit. So it's not really like directly funded by the government itself. So anyway, I need to bugger off. back, don't I? So should I just leave completely?
Yeah,
Walk
just
out that
leave.
door.
Just walk out that door, and then I'll send you the link. I've got a couple of super chats to do, and I'll send you the link, and we'll tango again. Okay. Cheers, Tan.
Oh, that's fine. No priority. It's all right. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Don't worry
it's
about
all right.
me.
It's
I'll
all
see you in
right.
a bit.
All right, see you in a bit. Bye. Right, so Tan is going to go off now, and I'm going to shut down this meeting and it off for all. And I'm hoping that I can actually start again on the old Zoom. It might not let me. It might tell me to bugger off. I don't know. But in the meantime, let's do a couple of super chats. We've got Richard Marsden there with £5 super chat. Thank you. Did you see that poor, beautifully mute ribbon cutter beret? Sorry, that poor, beautifully mute ribbon cutter Kate wore a beret with her pro-French agenda. Yes, she did. Just which is kind of funny. Mike Dix, who does the Trumpton cartoons, he had a few choice words to say about her. And her, she speaks for all victims of cancer. He's got cancer, and he's like, she doesn't speak for me, especially the fact that she won't even tell anyone what the cancer is that she's got and what the things to look out for, so people don't get the cancer in the first place. And I don't know if they've given any of the vast fortunes of cancer research. If they have, great. They haven't announced it if they have done that, but I digress. Yoni, thank you very much. Britain Shaw picked a time to ditch all alliances. I've already done the super chat animation, but that was for you. And Tim Ballant, £2. So is TP Link. Thank you very much for the £2 super chat there, Tim. So I'm just going to try and host another video here with Tan. She's waiting, I hope, patiently for me to get my shit together. Get your shit together. Start your meeting. Your free meeting just ended. Please wait 8 minutes before starting a new meeting. Oh, for God's sake. Really? Okay, I've got to text Tan now and say we have to wait 7 minutes. I knew we should have used Meet until we can do another meeting. Right, if you're watching this on catch up, just skip ahead 5 minutes. Hang on. Oh man, you used to be able, first of all, on Zoom, you used to be able to have meetings that went on forever if it was just 2 people. It was only restricted if it was more than 2 people, to 40 minutes. And the other thing is that as soon as the meeting ended, you could start another one, but you can't do that anymore. Soz. Jesus Christ. I don't know. All right, TikTok is banned. What's this? As of the 19th of January. This is from Alec Barrett. Thank you very much for the super chat, sir. That's very kind of you. It was passed in an act, so Trump can't even unban it with an executive order. He needs 60 senators to unban it. Oh my God, that is mad, isn't it? That is absolutely freaking... Yeah. So yeah, TikTok's gone out of America. If TikTok gets banned, does that mean Farage gets cancelled in the US? Well, there's other platforms for people to follow him on. But yeah, can't you use Google Meet or Teams or something like that? Yes, I did suggest that, but we were going to just use Zoom because I normally use Phil Morehouse's account and he actually pays for it. So thanks, Phil. But it meant it didn't work. It usually comes up with his name and the password and everything, just lets me log in. And this time it didn't. I had to dig around in my Google settings to find the password, put it in, and then it sent Phil a code, and he was like that. Yes. I guess so. Tan's saying that she can do it on hers. That's a point. I've got 2 accounts. I could just pull out of that account and go into the other. Right, let's see if we can do this. This should be interesting. So we're going to go through Tan's account. It might be better quality, actually, because it wasn't particularly good quality, what Tan coming through before. I don't know if it was my internet or her internet, but it wasn't great. Meat would upset the vegans. You can't have your pudding till you've eaten your meat. Indeed, it would, though. Google Meet. Chris C, even and all. Hello, Chris. How you doing, mate? And RJ is my message. You can't solve the problem but from only looking at only one side. Yeah, I think there's a lot of problems on the left as well, mate. I have to have treatment at the hospital because diabetes has damaged my eyes. I'm sorry to hear that, Gary. That really sucks. Welcome to the Netflix of Zoom, says Jin Stitcher. I know I said yeah, Ginger. Jesus. By the time Tan gets a link for me to get on Hair Zoom, we might have just been able to wait to get on the other. Population control not white. What? You get a test anyway. You wouldn't have to buy glasses if you don't want to, and they can check there's nothing else going on. It's talking about getting regular tests. I think you just have to retake your driving test every 10 years. Some people might think that's excessive, but I think that needs to be the rule. We also need to bring back dog licenses. Well, Tan's not here. Just to mention, like, we really do need to bring back dog licenses. That's something that we definitely need to do. And I'm just going into Zoom now, and maybe this will work. This is super exciting. Okay, right. So, Tan, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, brilliant. Okay, just 1 second. I'm just going to set you up on the screen here. Oh, brilliant. It works. Look at this. Look at this. Tan's back. Woohoo, woohoo, woohoo. So we were just talking. Well, I was reading out some messages, and I was just saying we need to bring back dog licenses. You know, for the safety of dogs. People that keep on doing horrible things to dogs, and then they, because there's no dog licenses anymore, they get another dog, and that needs to stop. Also, they let their dogs poo everywhere. And that needs to stop as well. And make dog training courses a condition of having a dog license, says John Barleycorn. Yeah, I don't know if I want to do that. And Gary's talking about having diabetes and it affecting his eyesight, which isn't great. And TikTok have appealed to the Supreme Court the newly passed law as unconstitutional in the last-ditch attempt to stay online. That's from Shazak 32. But isn't it interesting, Tan, that they're getting rid of TikTok in America? Like, they're proper banning it on January the 9th. January 19th. It's getting proper banned. And yet, Twitter is still allowed to be a thing in the UK, while Musk is just manipulating the British politics. Like, he sent people out to riot just as much as Trump did. Farage did in the summer. Musk bears some responsibility on that. He's been summoned, hasn't he, before a select committee in Parliament?
But I find that also pointless. Like, I find committees, I find like inquiries pointless, costly, and a way to kind of like shirk responsibility because there's no real legal imperative to do anything about it. Like, I just find it a way to run down the emotional clock, and with bureaucracy make people bored of tragedy, like Hillsborough, Grenfell. You know, I find it that what they do is they just run it for ages and ages and ages until people just get weary, and then in the end they don't even have to legally follow any, like, they can decide whether or not they follow the recommendations to learn from the lives that have been lost of poor people, and nothing's ever learned, nothing really changes. But the thing with Musk on Twitter is really disturbing. I mean, he's hijacking the algorithm, he's pushing hate, the use of the N-word with a hard R has exponentially increased, misogyny has increased 100,000-fold. I can't even open Twitter without getting a barrage of abuse. And on Christmas Day, Mike Graham and Lawrence Fox were trolling me on Twitter.
Wow.
Lawrence Fox.
They were obviously having a wonderful time with their own children, opening presents and just having a wonderful, wonderful time. And they definitely weren't alone. Divorced in a cold water bed sit in Croydon, crying their little heart out. It's okay.
Only.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, this is the problem. He sent me a donation on Ko-Fi, and like, here you go, sweetheart, this will cheer you up, and it was £3. So I immediately refunded it. Lawrence Fox.
Oh, what a shitbag.
No, the night before I'd handed Mike Graham his arse, and I said to him, look, debate me then, come on, I'll take you on, debate me. And he was like, I'm not going to debate. And he was like trying to get out of it, and everyone was just trolling him viciously. So I woke up the next morning and Lawrence Fox had donated to my Ko-Fi like £3. So I refunded it, and you can put a refund refund message, and I was like, I don't take money from attention-seeking far-right pricks. Keep it. And and I sent the screenshot of the refund to him. And then he posted a quote with it. So he was repeating my message to him. And I was just like, mate, just enjoy your dinner. Like, you guys are all supposed to be Christians. This is supposed to be like the day of goodwill and Jesus's birth. And you're using it to troll a woman on Twitter. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah.
And so, in the end, I just sent him the amazing joke by Alexandra Haddo, which is, I wonder how many times Billy Piper has Googled, is it possible to unfuck someone? And I just left it at that. But no, the problem is these guys all get boosted, right? I've got I think about 30,000 followers more than Mike Graham, even though since the Trump election, I've lost I think it was between nearly 30,000 followers on Twitter. They've just disappeared.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's people leaving. Or if it was bots that were harassing me that were taken away. But it's the dead internet theories kind of coming into play on Twitter, because there's
it's just bots talking to each other, isn't it? And AI farming off AI, isn't it?
Oh, Grok though, the feature where you can actually use AI to create images, everyone's just using it to troll Elon Musk.
Yeah,
and
quite
create
rightly.
these pictures. Like Epstein and him and Trump and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Although interestingly, Grok doesn't know the difference between Prince Andrew and Trump, which is quite amusing.
That was weird, wasn't it? They sort of made an amalgam of the two. It looked like Prince Andrew's face, but it was Trump's body and Trump's hair, or his approximation of hair.
They're both sex offenders, so
yeah,
it adds up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. We got a couple of super chats came in, but I want to just say first, there was one about the hunt. You won't be able to see this, Tam, but it's going to come up on the screen for everybody else, I think. Yeah, here we go. So this is the Cold War Steve's picture for today, which shows the horrible Farage creep with a horse, and he's on a horse, and there's people on horses behind him. Who's there? Richard Tice is there. Isabel Oakeshott on a horse. It was signed saying, "Man of the people, definitely not the establishment. Farage speaks for the man in the street." Yeah, because of course he does. Of course he does. And the people who really believe this, it's kind of it's beyond embarrassing, really, isn't it? That people actually go for this nonsense and go, yeah. He's a man of the people. He's a people's billionaire. But yeah, so thanks very much to Tim for the super chat there. I thought I'd show everyone the picture that Tim was referring to. And then Chris C, thank you very much for the super chat. This is wonderful. I get loads of super chat. This is the Tan effect. Thank you for coming on the show, Tan. You've made my Christmas. Tan, you are so right when it comes to inquiries. Lessons will be learned, but never are. It's a waste of money and time when nothing is done. Yeah, absolutely.
Stop killing poor people, please, with your negligence. That would be helpful.
That would be good. And David Philip Pritchard has come on to say, thank you very much for his first super chat. Everyone needs to stop using X and supporting President-elect Elon Musk and move to Threads. While you're there, make sure you also follow Supertanskiii. Yes, indeed. Yes, thank you for that. But yeah, also Blue Sky as well, which is annoyingly called B Sky when you're looking for your passwords, by the way. I was looking for a password for it because I lost my password. I had to go on a different device or something. And it's all like 7-factor authentication these days, which I understand. But yeah, when it comes to what can be done, I think this is really important that we don't give up, for starters, because that's exactly what they want us to do. 90% of the shit that you get that I've seen online is just trying to get you to shut up. And that's what they want. They want you to go, oh, fuck this. You people are horrible. I'm not gonna bother anymore. And then they'll feel like they've won. So it's like that. The isn't there an expression like that? The best revenge is a life well lived, or something like that. Is like and also show us having a good time, because they wanna make out like everyone who's on the left just cries bitter tears into their chai lattes every morning. Do you know what I mean? Whereas the reality is, we have a bloody good laugh, to be honest with you. I mean, I was thinking, when you mentioned 2073 before, I was thinking, bloody hell, the first sort of 10 minutes of that movie, me and Josh and Tan were pissing ourselves laughing because of something Josh said.
Josh is away. He just
Did
dropped
he?
this like dry. Yeah, he kind of like he laughed a bit, but he just like kind of he dropped this really dry comment where you were like we were talking about meeting up for our sales that we had.
Meet up for Christmas.
And you were like, yeah, and you were like, oh, I'll be in Panama. I won't be able to come then. And he was like, oh well, never mind, or something like that. He just looked funny. He was like, oh well, and but we just cracked up because it was so like harshly said, but yet with this deadpan delivery. And you were tanked. I'd only had like a couple of bottled beers, but it
I was proper bevved.
I love, like, contrary to what those twats say online, I love being roasted by my friends and people that I know well. Like, if they know me well enough and they deliver a really good roast, it will make me laugh to the point where I will cry. And me like, I couldn't even look at you. And I was like, and then only afterwards.
And you kept on starting to laugh again because every time I kind of got over the giggles, you started laughing again, and that started me up. And we're watching this super serious film, Asif Kapadea's 2073. It's got Samantha Morton in it. It's all about what will happen if Musk and Trump and Thiel get their way, essentially. What the world's going to look like in 50 years' time. And it's harrowing. It is absolutely fucking harrowing. And it's like, I don't know, Tan, it was like the beginning of fucking Schindler's List, and we're sitting there like buzzing. We're like,
I know.
And don't worry, it's not like the director was in the room or nothing. Jesus Christ.
No, but you know, the worst thing is, afterwards, when the lights came up, look behind us, who was sitting there? Carol fucking Cadwallader.
Yes.
So
we've been buzzing with Carol sitting behind us. Oh my God. Yeah.
It's so, even Alex, Political X, you guys follow his Sunday roast, I presume. Like, he was sitting next to us, and at one point, like, he's a very patient man, but he looked, and I could see that he was like getting uncomfortable. I was like, but I can't stop. If something's really inappropriate, it will just make me laugh more because I just, that was really. How did we get on to 2073 again?
Oh, I don't know. Just having a laugh. Just you know, I'm coming to London. I'm coming to London the second weekend in January, so we'll try and meet up because we need to put the world to rights, Tan.
Well, no, we're gonna, aren't we? Aren't we doing that thing? There's supposed to be some kind of meet up, but no. The thing is, though, the problem is that we've got with all this is. We've got this woman called Charlotte Gill, right, who is some Toby Young, Farage loving, Elon loving, right wing, ex Tory graph woman who basically.
Hey, Tan, sorry to interrupt. You're not going to believe this, right? You are fucking not going to believe this. But she's on my private school mafia list. Now tell us about Charlotte Gill.
That's very surprising to me. Like I'm blown
gobsmacking.
Away. But she's another one that's trying to rile up all the kind of like poorer people, right, by spreading these conspiracies. And she thinks she's like fucking Columbo, like linking out all these links that we freely provide on our own social media. And she's like, oh my God, they're a part of this. Yeah, we were promoting it a couple of months ago, you fucking bellend. Like, that's how we know about it. And but the problem is she's seeding conspiracy and she's calling us shills when she's defending Farage, right? Yeah. Unbelievable irony in all this. But the problem is there's certain members of our team that have been pictured that are obviously, you know, they're not white, they're not British nationals. They're, I think, you know, there's Pranay and Farouk who have actually been accused of being shills, right? But the conspiracy theorists are going for them and finding their information and them far right accounts taking out the kind of like the you know what they see as the immigrants first, right? And then it will be the women and then it will be the guys because that's how it works. So anyone that's like trans in our group or anyone that's like gay, they'll get it. And it shows the how they start with they'll come for you next, right? So the problem is because she's spreading conspiracy, and I've said to her publicly 5 times, tell us what we're doing then. Tell us who is apparently funding us, because I know who funds me. The tax man who I pay my taxes to knows who funds me. It's not the Labour Party. They're fucking stingy if they're going to give us money. We wish, you know, I wish they'd given me some money. They hadn't.
Well, if Labour had given us some money, I'd still be Labour Social.
Well, exactly. Like, they wouldn't have changed my output or my morals, right? I don't, change that according to who pays me. If someone pays me, or they work to, which they don't, they would have to be like, all right, I'll pay you, but you can do whatever you want. But she's seeding this conspiracy. There's no evidence, and we've got people saying you're an establishment paid hack. You're being paid, and I'm like, who by then? Get your evidence out for the lads. Come on, go for it.
Great. And, can you let them know that the check hasn't come through?
This is what I'm saying.
They must have the wrong bank details.
But this is the problem.
But that time they can't comprehend a situation in which someone like you will go on the internet, or me will go on the internet and say what we really believe about stuff going on in the world right now, without someone paying us to do that, because that's all they've known all their lives. They are the type of people who are like, if you don't like my opinions, I have others. And they will change whatever they feel about any issue depending on who is paying the piper. And they can't... It's like people who fall for cults can't imagine someone who can look at Keir Starmer and just go, he's just a bloke. And that includes Owen fucking Jones. He came up to me at the Labour Party conference and he was all like aggressive. And he went, I bet you're chuffed now that you're Lord of all manner, you're God in heaven, Keir Starmer's the leader of... And I was like, I don't... He's just a bloke. I said, Owen, he's just a bloke. I don't care if he gets toppled and someone else takes over in the Labour Party. I don't give a shit. I'm going to be tearing my eyes. I go, no, start your own party, Kia.
Yeah, because they see other figures as like cult-like, whereas I have no feelings either way. Like I've always said, if there's one politician that I admire the most, or one of the politicians I admire the most, it's Gordon Brown, and he was just a regular nice guy. His record of it wasn't perfect, but he was redistributive. He was a great chancellor.
I'll agree with that, Tam. But like as a prime minister, I think it was a big misstep to put him as prime minister to succeed Blair.
Too late. Blair wouldn't fuck off, would he?
But even if he'd fucked off earlier, Tan, I just think that Gordon Brown, although he is, I think you're right, he's a really good politician, really good at getting things done, but he never seemed to have that personable touch. And Starmer's got the same problem. Starmer is exactly the same problem. It's kind of like the anti-Farage.
That's the problem. They're not actors.
I've heard people who are on the left going, I like Farage, I like the way he comes across, I listen to his radio show.
Unbelievable.
And I'm just like, he to me is the Gavin and Stacey Christmas special or Mrs. Brown's Boys. There's no fucking way you're getting me to watch or listen to that shite. But
about Gordon Brown, right? He was basically what you saw in terms of domestic policy for the first 2 terms of the last Labour government. That was Brown. That's why Blair felt he had to go overseas and find his place on the global stage, because financially and in terms of policy, Brown was handling the home front. So what you saw, the good things that came to pass, much of it was Brown.
Yeah.
So he was essentially kind of like the domestic prime minister, and then obviously like Blair lost his fucking marbles if he ever had them. I mean, you look back now and you watch Blair speak and you think, wow, you are just blatantly lying. You're obviously just acting here. That there's no, and badly. It was just the fact that he came as a salesman,
Yeah, he was. He was a used car salesman. A good communicator.
And this is the problem.
And that's something that Labour just don't have at the moment. They could have the best policies in all the world. No one would know.
And they're too apologetic, I think. Like, what they should be saying is, like, especially to those fucking farmers, right, and the filthy rich landowners who claim that it's all the politics of envy. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Right. What they need to do is they need to say, look, you are paying still less than the average person here for your, extensive inheritance.
Yeah.
Shut up. Take tractors and fuck off back to the countryside. Like, that's what they need to say. They need to be that blunt about it and say what we're doing, we work hard. So do the teachers, mate, that have been buying kids food and clothes over the last however many years. So are the nurses who were dying in COVID without PPE, right?
Yeah. But it's about 500 people who are going to be affected by this, isn't it? It's a tiny number of the population who are going to be affected by this. It's like the VAT. They're saying, oh, there's going to be like 3,000 children who are going to be affected by this. I'm like, okay, there's 125,000 kids who are living in temporary accommodation right now in this country, effectively homeless.
4 million kids in poverty.
Yeah, 4 million kids in poverty.
The return of rickets.
Yeah, Victorian diseases make a comeback. Tim Ballum, thank you very much for the £2 super chat, mate. Don't you get your Soros paycheck every month? No, sorry, Tim. He hasn't got my new address. And Joe Lefty, the member for 3 months. Thank you very much, Joe. Great to see Tam back. A couple of hearts there off Joe Lefty Boater. Thanks very much, Joe. It's really, really appreciate that. And hang on, my mic went off. Sorry. I've really got to get a new cable for my mic. If I like brush it, even if the wind for me lifting my arm up brushes against it, turns the fucking sound off. Wayne wants to jump in. No, Wayne, no, come on Friday. Imagine if like normal telly was like this, Tan. Like, you know, you could just write into the TV in the middle of the episode of Doctor Who, and you're like, I want to be in this episode. I want to be in it. Put me in the episode, and then you're in the episode, and you're like, what the fuck am I here for? And you're like, shh, don't swear. That you can't swear. It's a children's TV show. Whoa, fucking family viewing. I'll show you family viewing. But that's okay. That's okay. Tomorrow night, Wayne, you'll come on the show. It'll be fine. Patrick says if.
Is it Friday tomorrow?
Sorry, it's Friday tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm just realising it's Friday tomorrow.
I know. I'm a bit discombobulated. It's Twixmas. It's Twixmas time. It makes no sense to anyone. Patrick McCarthy, if there was a crackdown on people on benefits, the farmer stooges wouldn't say anything. Yeah.
Well, they did nothing during the strike. They were saying, "Oh, strikers need to go back." Farage.
Yeah.
When doctors and nurses were striking, they need to go back. But he's out there with the millionaire landowners because that's his people. This is the thing. This is the thing.
Go around shooting animals. Well, ripping apart animals and shooting birds because birds need to be shot. They see a beautiful pheasant and they go, that pheasant needs to be dead for like the tiny amount of meat that you can get from it if you spend like half a day plucking the bastard. Just,
Wow.
Jesus. Jesus wept. Anyway, we've been going on for just over an hour now, Tan, so we'll wrap up soon because I think we're both fucking knackered. But so I'm
playing Zelda, yeah.
I'm thinking of doing like a roundup of the year, maybe on Monday or something. So if you could come on that'd be cool. If it's just like even for a little bit.
I was going to say rather you than me. I thought you meant like a video.
No. Just a live thing where I've basically got a list of all the things that happened and we'll just talk about it. It'll probably be like the Friday night social, just people dropping in and out for a little bit. Because that's one of the things I like about the Friday night social is people don't necessarily have to stay for the whole show. They'll come in and that's why I liked it when Aid came on, because he'd only come on for like the first hour and they'd be like, I've got to go to bed, see you later. And then like someone else would take his place. It was great.
That's the only thing that I struggle with is if there's like too many cooks spoiling the broth a bit, like with any form of group Zoom. It gets a little bit kind of like the worst things in the world is when there's chatter. I can't deal with chatter. But no, I'd be up for that. I mean, I've been thinking about making a video about it, but I've not been as hot on my recording because I've had a bit of a rough couple of months, so I've not been as active. And I've been looking back through my notes over the past year thinking like, how do I make this funny? I mean, it's really hard to make this funny. It's always been hard to make it funny, but it's just after nearly 5, entering my 5th year of doing this kind of stuff. And it is just a big part of me is just like, I've not had not one holiday. And I'm just thinking, I just need to go on holiday. I need to take a step back from the
Well, that's why we need to get our think tank off the ground, which we'll be talking about next year. But yeah, if we can do that, crowdfunded think tank, the world's first crowdfunded think tank, I think, that would be a great opportunity for us to make sure that we get a decent wage each week, whether we can actually pump out the funny or not. Because this is the thing about being funny; it's not like it's easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. And so thinking of jokes, especially about like particularly grim news that's come through and disturbing news for us, Trump wins. it's not like, oh, what a funny thing that just happened on the news. I mean, it's devastating. I'm absolutely devastated that Trump has won. So then to try and crack jokes about it isn't necessarily the natural thing that comes to me. And yeah, so
well, because people, we know better than most what's going to happen. This is the problem. We well, not better than most, but as much as like anyone else that's informed, we know what that will entail. The moment that I heard that he'd won, I was like, right, like just like I knew immediately what the Brexit referendum would entail.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what it meant. And I thought, wow, they have managed that to pull that con off and get millions of, and that was the thing that was most disturbing for me, was how they managed to mindfuck just that many people. And I was like, fuck, if they can do this, they can do anything, you know. That's it, all bets are off now. Facts don't matter, up is down, we're living in backwards world, like literally, mentally, intelligence wise. And yeah, so yeah, it is really personally disturbing, and I don't get any joy from it.
No.
I try to make jokes about it, like then I always sit there and think, if I can make jokes about, you know, the Johnson era, I can try and find a way to make jokes about this, but it's just, the longer it goes on, the more grim it gets, you know, and this is the problem. And with reform, we didn't have anything like this. Could you imagine if when Johnson had just come to power? I mean, Labour were polling really quite early on for years ahead of the Tories. It was well over a year and a half, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And but when Johnson had just come to power, was everyone focusing on the polling like they are with reform? Like there was nowhere near this then.
No.
And this is the problem. Like they keep platforming Farage uncritically, then they're going, oh, I wonder why reform is surging, because you're using him for clicks.
In a way that the Greens are getting no coverage at all. The Lib Dems are getting no coverage at all.
Nothing. And they have to try and pull stunts to get coverage.
Yeah.
And there is, because reform are like the third most covered party, right? And it's like, oh, I wonder how he managed to pull that off then. And they're like, they don't care about what they're doing to the fabric of society whilst using him as a sensationalist, you know, like performing tart. They don't care. Yeah. So this is the problem. I think they're going to keep doing it until he sold all his magic beans to the bellends, and they'll end up with
beans to the bellends.
And that's the point at which I will just leave. Like I'm trying to squirrel a little bit of money away, because if it comes to the point where that happens, I'm not staying in Britain. I'm you know, throwing a match after me. I'm like, fuck you guys, like fuck this, I'm out. There's no way I'm living under that. But then you look to Europe and you're like, well, where can I go there? Oh, well, they're all fascist too. Brilliant.
Well, you can go to Ireland. Ireland's doing pretty well, and they're standing up against the Israeli government as well, which few other countries are doing. So yeah, I'll move to Ireland.
Well, they had a problem.
Oh no, Tan, you just broke up. What happened? Come back. Say that again.
But then
someone said that we've got Wayne's internet, and that's why it's...
Am I still here?
Yeah, just about. Sorry, you really broke up then when you responded to me. What did you say? No. Hello?
I just said Ireland's got its own problems too. Oh, what?
It's a lot better than it used to be. At least gay marriage and abortion's legal there now. Chris C, thank you very much for the £5 super chat, mate. That's really kind of you. Merry Christmas. You'll never hear about the 4.2 million children in poverty mentioned, but as millionaire pensioners lose their winter fuel allowance, the media is in uproar. Absolutely. Tim Ballum, £5 super chat. Tan, get a HDMI upgrade for the console. It'll save your eyes. But even so, like, it's still fuzzy. I've got a HDMI upgrade box, right? It's just like a little box you plug it for my Nintendo Wii, and it's still fuzzy. It's still fuzzy as hell, especially on a big telly. And then we've got Patrick McCarthy, £5. Thank you very much, Patrick, saying, I am George Soros, and here is your brown envelope. Happy Twixmas. Thank you very much, George. I mean, Patrick. I mean, George. That's very kind of you. Wayne Internet, says Wayne.
That's one of the funniest things that I've heard since I heard Ollie Bowler Hat Man last night dropped a very controversial point in the chat, which actually made me physically laugh out loud, in which he tried to say, nerd chat incoming, that Wind Waker was the best Zelda. Have you ever heard anything that mental in your life? I like Bowler Hat Man, lovely fella, very, very affable. But I had to point and laugh.
Not only are you wrong, you're wrong at the top of your lungs.
You are
Wind wanker, more like.
Terribly wrong. That's why I wish you to call it wind wanker. I'd rather wank wind than play that game. It's pure hell. Let's have Zelda, like it's drawn by a 5-year-old on the water constantly.
Zelda drawn by a 5-year-old on the water forever. Darian Destar has just dropped a £10 super chat with just a laughing avocado, I think. That's it. I think it's just an avocado laughing at the idea that Wind Wanker could be the best of the Zelda games. Ocarina of Time was the best, says Jamie, and I think that Tam will agree with that. But there and
Majora's Mask, I still haven't completed it. But I'm playing through like Zelda again the regular way because it's easier. Because I got lost. I got to a certain point in Majora's Mask, and it started to get really, really hard. It's a really hard game. Because you've only got 72 hours to complete it.
Oh, wow.
And then the clock goes back and you're... Yeah, but you can slow down time exponentially. So you learn songs. But until you learn those songs... And there's obviously loads of really cool side quests. It's a cool little village and everything. But it's really ominous. It's a bit like the film Melancholia by Lars von Trier, where this big fucking massive moon's coming towards the sky. You can see it gaining on you. So it's a pretty dark Zelda game. Ocarina's familiar, so I've been I just like going to Lake Hylia and fishing. I just like spending time fishing on Lake.
I don't want to work down coal mine, I just want to fish. Roxy Rules is pointing out that Wind Wanker sounds like a really weird blowjob. And Ian McKenna saying fuck Nintendo. What? All right. And Vendetta saying fuck Zelda. Turrican 2. Turrican 2? Are you kidding me? Nintendo is such a horrible company, says Ian. Maybe he designed games for them. I don't know. Yuri, thank you to Yuri Ninfektionov. Thank you very much. When the wheels fall off the Reform shit show, Tice and Oak shit will go back to managing their crazy golf in Skeggy. That's very true. Thanks to Yuri for that. When the wheels fall off the Reform shit show. Sooner rather than later. But we need everyone to come together to do this. We need all the people, the commentators in our gang and bring more people in. And you're talking about we are preaching to the choir, and we are. However, we can always make that choir bigger, and to do that means appearing in the For You feed on TikTok. Appearing in those lists on Blue Sky where people just tick once and they follow a bunch of people all at once. Make sure we're all on those lists so more people follow us. And then, on YouTube, make sure that our videos are good enough and people give them a like. So if you're watching, just give it a like. So it appears in other people's recommended lists and we get the message out there to people who might not have heard it. And I've got to say, Tan, humor, and this is why I started following you because just you made me laugh when I was watching your videos on TikTok. Humor is so important to get this stuff through, and that's why Jon Stewart, John Oliver in America is so important. Is actually ripping shit out of these politicians, these dickheads, these billionaires doing all this stuff and making people laugh. Because I've got to say, in my life, I've always been more willing to forgive people who make me laugh than people who don't. Simple as that. Yeah. And I don't think I'm alone in that.
Yeah. No, I saw a great quote the other day where someone said, if you're not amusing or informing, you're doing neither or something. So there was a kind of sentiment of to kind of get a message across. And I've never kind of done it with especially not at the beginning, never with any intent. I was just for my own sanity. just roasting the shit out of them, and then it turned into roasting the shit out of them with info, and like fact-checked info. The problem is on TikTok especially is that they're like dissenting voices are being silenced, and that's a big part of why I think the US government are taking it away, because people are using it to successfully protest. So it's a way of taking away people putting out information that's contrary to what they want. It's a way to control the information stream of protest. Like a lot of people protest for trans rights, they protest for black rights, they protest for other LGBT rights, women's rights. That's how they use the platform successfully, and they can reach more people than some of the broadcasts. So you can get millions of views in a very short amount of time if you're successful doing it, and that's what they're trying to curb, and that's what I think that's what they did here too. But yeah, here people like Farage and the far right, they get boosted on TikTok. My video, which tells you why Tommy Robinson got arrested, because he defended like a racist family that tried to waterboard a refugee. And claimed that the kid the real reason I had that removed for hateful ideology. I was accused of hateful ideology.
So that's people mass reporting you, isn't it?
And then well, it's people mass reporting me, or it's TikTok. So initially TikTok moved it for misinformation, where it was all the article was sourced and it was next to me. And so people like that get their videos taken down and the misinformation stays up. And I've seen people using the P slur to describe Pakistani people on there in a song that wasn't taken down.
Jesus.
Insane.
But it's all AI now, isn't it? Like no one checks anything. No humans check stuff. It's all, they have automated systems to go, oh, we don't allow that word. But yeah, it's not great. And I guess if enough people get together and report something, and it's why if we do this thing, and we're gonna have to round off soon, because we'll rabbit on all night knowing us. But it's one of the reasons why we really need to get this think tank together, not just for putting out content, but also for the stuff under the bonnet, like the stuff like the anti-disinformation, the anti-misinformation, the having a group of people on this semi-autonomous response network where we put out information about disinformation and people can mass report it. Like our people can mass report stuff and it'll get taken down because so many people have said this is bullshit. It'll get to a critical point where I guess the algorithm kicks in. I guess they've got it set to, get rid of it and then see if it's okay, rather than give anyone the benefit of the doubt, because they don't want to get sued for defamation or whatever platforms get sued for. Not that I think platforms can actually get sued for anything they put on them. I mean, looking at Twitter these days, I don't think they can. But yeah, it's another facet.
What is it?
Sorry?
Punishable by a fine means what? Or legal for a fine means, I can't remember what it is. Josh always says it. It's basically to say something punishable by a fine, then it's free. Then it's
free for the rich.
It's legal for a price or something like that.
Yeah, legal for a price. Yeah, punishable by a fine, legal for a price. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
That's why you get rich people who just they just park wherever they want because the parking ticket's bugger all. It's just it's not even worth their while to get off their arse and actually buy a ticket. They may as well just park and pay the speeding fines. It's so little of their money. Tim Ballum, thank you for the last super chat, I think, of the night, because we are going to have to round it off there. Tan, if you're down south, and Tim means the south west when he says that. Tan, if you're down south, visit the Retro Collective, which I guess is retro gaming. I don't know. Whenever I think of retro games, though, I think of like the Spectrum, and was it the Atari 2600 and the Commodore 64?
What's it like in your day? What's it like in your day, Grandpa?
Processors were the size of a house, they were. Oh. Used to walk around with massive floppy disks everywhere, and they only had one byte on them.
That's the era that bloody Keir Starmer's stuck in, like fucking Carter 95. Get a grip.
He is. That's a very good point, and he is the personification of Encarta 95.
He's a floppy disk.
I think in Weird Science they make Kelly LeBrock come to life.
Yeah.
Using computers. I think that's what happened with Keir Starmer. He was brought to life using Encarta 95 and a Excel spreadsheet.
He's dial-up.
Anyway, Tan, thanks so much for coming on this special edition of the Swear Jar. Love to do this again sometime. And do stuff on your channel as well. Do some more live stuff on your channel, because Tan's got more subscribers than me now. Subscribe.
I am going to start, but we're going to get kids, so I will say adieu.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tan. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks to everyone out there who dropped in a super chat. Thanks for all the nice messages and of love and support. I hope you had a pretty good Christmas, considering. And until tomorrow morning at 9:30, when I'll be back with Morning Brew, I'll say, give us a like on the way out. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.